So it's a good thing I was doing that, I guess. But that's how, and the first article that I had published was in The Nation magazine. And I still remember it because, you know, you see your name on something and you just say, wow, that's for me. But what it was a story about Ebi Island in the Marshall Islands. And Ebi is the island next to the Kwajalein Missile Range where the U.S. government tests missiles, launches from California, from Vandenberg out to Kwajalein. And Ebi is the Marshallese community. Over the years, it's been called the slum of the Pacific and various other things. But anyway, I was there for a weekend, and it really upset me just to see the contrast between Kwajalein, the Army base right next door, and the Marshallese community 3 miles away. And yeah, it motivated me, and I think that's got me motivated and continuing to today. And that's the same reason I've wrote the book about Darlene. Is there's just some really interesting things that people have done, are doing in the Marshall Islands that connect with things today. I mean, this isn't just an historical perspective about something that happened a long time ago, but I think a lot of this applies to things about preventive health, you know, getting kids trained up to be leaders in the community, taking on responsibility, things like that. And she was just a all-out advocate because she had gone through the same kind of struggle that Eldon and David are talking about. You know, people come up the first few years and they just, you know, they don't know where to turn. You know, who do you talk to if you got a problem? And most folks don't speak English very well, so like they're going to sit in the back of the classroom and don't say anything, and it's a real struggle. So that's what I mean. She learned, she experienced it, and then her thing was to say, well, what can I do to make this better for the next generation? And I mean, she did what she did for nuclear victims by getting out and calling for justice for people who had been affected by the nuclear testing. But I think possibly her greater legacy is in creating this nonprofit called Youth to Youth in Health, which continues. It's now in its 27th year of training young people and involving young people in community health. I mean, it's quite unique in that part of the world.
Very good. Wow, amazing person. It's a very amazing person. What are you doing here in Oregon this week? I know you have a long list of things that you're trying to accomplish. Can you fill us in on some of those things?
Sure. I was, just prior to coming here, I was in Hawaii. Friends in Hawaii organized a number of engagements, including a book signing at a local bookstore and various speaking engagements, so I could talk a little bit about the book, get some more publicity on it, but also just talk about Marshall Islands issues and some of the issues of the day, which are the compensation, nuclear test compensation issue is still something that hasn't been resolved between the U.S. and Marshall Islands. And as David mentioned, both David and Eldon mentioned about the Medicaid issue, it's now pending in the U.S. Congress, and this is a really significant piece of legislation for people who come from a part of the world who are total allies of the United States, have been really part of the U.S. family for 70 years since World War II, and just have a very special relationship with the U.S. but often fall into the crack just because people don't really know who people from the Micronesia or Palau or the Marshall Islands are. So part of my visit this week in Oregon is doing some promotion on the book to let people know about it. But in doing that, just trying to elevate issues to do with the Marshall Islands and get people talking about some of these. And I think, what I think the local team has the message, they deliver it all the time, but every now and then you bring somebody in from outside saying the same thing, and then they go, oh, those guys, maybe they were right. So anyway, I'm just here to add on and talk with different groups, and I'll be talking to some students, high school, middle high school, and college. So that's always good because I think most of the schools don't have much on the Pacific, so it's a chance to at least throw a little line out to students about a new area that maybe they haven't really talked much about.
I got you. So if you have someone that's a part of the Micronesian community and they just moved here, how can they get in contact with you guys?
I think to answer that, let's see, with the Oregon Marshallese community right now we have just our Facebook currently up. But we're developing a website which is up and coming very soon. But on Facebook, if you go look for Oregon Marshallese community, or just search my name, David Adantagi, I can then connect you to our Marshallese community, along with the Micronesian Islander community. There's Living Islands that are also coalitions of just these Pacific Islanders that are really striving to make things better here in Oregon for our Micronesian and Pacific Islanders.
That's great. That's very great. Well, we have pins on, guys. Give us the rundown on these pins.
Well, these pins are the brainchild of Lloyd, and as I say, he's a man of action, and what a great way to promote the book and promote a conversation about Darlene and what that means. And I just, for any of your viewers who are interested to find out more about it, we have a website for the book, which is just www.don'teverwhisper.com,
Gotcha.
which has it's got videos and just a whole lot of, maybe material of interest to people.
Oh, yeah.
But I think these buttons are obviously the book resonated with some folks here, and that's really exciting for an author to see. And I've had a number of, over time as I'm talking to people, and also some of the reviews that are now coming out on it, because it's only been out for about 4 months now.
Okay.
So it's been out to get reviews. Some of the reviews are starting to come out, and I've been quite touched by a couple of the reviews. I mean, just people have had quite an amazing and positive reaction to the book, which is very gratifying.
Giff, when I read it, I found it one of the most compelling books I've ever read, frankly. A book about an incredible person with incredible energy and an incredible insight of how to use that energy effectively. And even when she got ill, she didn't quit. She just kept working and kept instructing, kept educating. But I love the title of the book because when she gave that speech, that famous speech in Vancouver, Canada, to the World Council of Churches, she wasn't whispering. She told the world at that speech, I think, of some of the horrific impacts that the radiation caused to the Marshallese, and a lot of those impacts are still to this day. I think it's left the consciousness of the American public. We've just forgotten, and including our Congress. And so one of the goals I have, and I think this book is the perfect way to segue into regaining that consciousness, and for us as a people in America to do what we need to do to right some of the things. And there's a lot of details about how we should do that, but I'd like to see a major movie made of this book.
I was thinking the same exact thing just now. This would be a very powerful movie. Very powerful movie, so you should try it.
Well, it may be coming.
Lloyd, tell us about the driver's license issue with the Oregon Marshallese community. What are you guys trying to do to help that situation?
Thank you for asking, Maurice. On the COFA residents, and again, that's the residents of the Marshall Islands, the Federated States of Micronesia and Palau, they got sort of caught up in this homeland security issue, and the Departments of Motor Vehicle read the law in such a way as that they said, well, these people are aliens, and so we can't give them permanent 8-year driver's licenses, or whatever it is in different states. And so I dug into this a little bit, along with another friend of mine, Wayne Baum, and we found that this just wasn't right. We started understanding the Compact of Free Association and how these folks are supposed to be freely associated with us, that they can come from the Marshall Islands or the other two countries and live among us freely, pay taxes freely, just like you and I.
Correct.
But yet, why can't they get permanent driver's license? Because that was causing them problems in getting apartments, getting places to live. It was causing them problems in getting bank accounts and jobs. I mean, the very crucial parts of just having a decent living in Oregon or any other state. So I decided that this couldn't stand, and so we worked together with Wayne and with David and with the MIC chair, Chris Ogle, and we got a couple of legislators to co-sponsor a bill. And we worked for about a month or 2 months with the legislators, everybody, and we told this story about the compact, and they started to understand. And we got a bill passed, House Bill 2517, with the help of Representative Brian Clem and Representative Vicki Berger. And that they co-sponsored the bill, and that bill passed the Oregon legislature without any negative votes.
Wow.
100%. And now they can get 8-year driver's license just like the rest of us. And our intent is to try to export this success in Oregon to other states that have this, where the residents are having the same issues with driver's license. But it goes beyond that. It goes beyond the understanding that GIF is bringing forward in this book.
Right.
And it goes to the medical issues too. So that's
where it's at. Well, it definitely looks like you guys are making great strides with the Oregon Marshallese community. And I definitely want to appreciate everyone for coming by for Total Exposure today. Thank you, Eldon. Thank you, Giff.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lloyd. Thank you, David. I'd love to have a more in-depth conversation with you guys on a personal level later. But thank you for coming through today.
Great. Thank you.
And for
Thank
the
you,
viewers
Rich.
out there, don't ever whisper when you're trying to get your point across. This is a great book. Don't Ever Whisper is the title of the book. And it's definitely a great read. Definitely a great read.
And GIF's itinerary here in Oregon says GIF Johnson, and it's very full.
Very full, very full. Well, thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you, Morris.
Thank you very much.